frozen above, burning below. The Norse people who lived at its southern edge called it the Sleeping Fire. Kyle Darkbrand, tall, powerfully muscular Viking man, approximately 36 years old, short, thick.
3 border settlements destroyed in 1 week, not raided. Frozen.
The settlements were not attacked, they were simply frozen, as if something 50 feet tall had walked through them and the cold of its presence had done the rest.
Thyra Groundspeaker, a stocky, powerfully built Norse woman, approximately 44.
It is Ymir-born, an immense frost giant, 50 feet tall when fully upright, with dark...
3 settlements gone. Ymir-born is moving south at approximately 5 miles per day. At that pace, it reaches the main...
The ground it walks on. You mean the volcanic vents beneath the tundra? You want to lure a 50-foot frost giant onto Limbolds.
The Mud Vault. Northwest tundra. A collapsed volcanic vent. The largest thermal chamber...
9 days. We need to lure Ymir-born to the Mud Vault. That means bait. Tell me the route. Tell me every safe crossing and dangerous section.
11 miles of tundra between the border settlement and the Mud Vault. 11 miles of frozen ground. Volcanic vent zones.
3 sections of thin ice between us and the Mud Vault. The first, the vent ring. A circular section of thin ice around the largest active vent cluster.
The bait run. Someone ahead of the giant, moving fast enough to stay ahead of it. On the tundra, in winter, with a frost giant 30 feet behind you. I'll do the bait run.
Do you understand what happens if the giant gains on you?
Yes.
And if it reaches the thin ice sections before you have cleared them?
Also yes.
2 days of preparation. The civilians evacuated south. The settlement reinforced as a fallback position.
On the second night, the northern lights were brilliant. And in their light, Thyra saw it.
11 miles, moving at consistent pace. It will reach the settlement in 8 days at this speed. But the pace is accelerating.
Then we go tomorrow at dawn. Era, you have tonight to complete your route memorization.
Thyram, I need you Nadput.
Thyra left before dawn.
North approach, east edge of the vent that bring. South detour past marker 3.
Dawn on the Rimfell. The frost giant 11 miles north and closing. If the chamber is cold,
She signals with geofire from the vault ridge. You abort, break east.
And if the chamber's at temperature?
Signals with the ground.
she ran toward the giant. That was the first requirement of the bait run. Move toward it until it noticed. She covered 3 miles in 40 minutes. Running on frozen tundra in winter gear with a spear.
Ymir-born.
There you are.
The giant saw her. The warmth of a living body on the frozen tundra.
The bait run! 11 miles! The frost giant following the warmth. Era leading it along the route. Kyle! From above, the chase looked like a wolf running from a glacier. The wolf was faster.
She ran the way she had trained. Weight forward, steps short, never committing full weight until the next step was confirmed.
15 feet per stride. 1 stride every 4 seconds. Slow for...
Gap holding at 200 feet. Era's route is correct. The giant is following her directly.
Confirmed.
Mile 3. The vent ring. The largest thin ice section between the settlement and the Mud Vault. The active vent...
The vent ring could not hold the giant. But the hot vent steam hitting its cold skin was... slow.
208 degrees. The chamber is at full temperature. The ice crust above the main chamber is 4 feet 8 inches, thinner than last winter.
The Mud Vault. From the outside, a low hill on the flat tundra, dark patched ice, steam from small vents.
Mile 6. The White Field.
She looked back once at mile 6 to confirm the giant was still on her exact line.
It was.
At mile 6, Kael sent the confirmation runner to Thyra. The giant is en route. Estimated arrival.
She navigated by sound and feel. The solid tundra had a specific resonance under her boots.
One mile!
The signal. Thyra's geopulse through the ground. One deliberate tremor. Felt through the boots.
She felt it! The signal! The mud vault was at temperature. The trap was ready. Half a mile to the vault approach. She crossed it in 11 seconds. Full sprint. Full sprint.
The ice held. The giant followed her trail. It had followed her for... It did not know. First step. The ice cracked under the giant's weight, but held.
The cold from the giant is dropping the chamber edge temperature. Where it is standing, the chamber is at 180 degrees. At the center...
The second step. The ice bat broke. Bow.
Come on, come on. One more step to the center. One more step to the turn.
The Mud Vault. Cold and heat. The two oldest forces in the Norse world. The Mud Vault eruption. The volcanic chamber's 3,000 years of pressure released in one. It was not immediately destroyed. A frost giant of the old blood. Where the giant's cold touched water or mud, it froze instantly. The volcanic mud it froze was immediately...
Thyra, is it enough? Is the mud enough to hold it?
The chamber temper is fighting the giant's cold. The giant is losing heat faster than it can generate new cold. The two forces meeting in the 50-foot body of something that had existed since the first freezing of the Rimfell. The cold blue light in the giant's skin began to dim. Overwhelmed was feigned heat. The light went out. The cold blue glow in every fissure and crack of Ymorn's ancient skin dimmed the Mud Vault. After, the ice crust, gone, melted and collapsed by the volcanic heat.
Thyra, is it done?
The cold signal from the giant is gone from the thermal field. The chamber temperature is recovering, back toward...
Yumion and Mirborn, an immense frost giant, 50 feet tall when fully upright. Trail. 11 miles of giant footprints across the frozen tundra, beginning at the north.
They walked back south.
11 miles there, 11 miles back. One frost giant, 3 people.
The sunset on the Rimfell.
The vent ring breach. The giant's foot contact with the hot vent was the first indicator that the heat-cold reaction worked.
Under the northern lights. Walking south. The settlement. Intact. Warm. Everything they had been fighting to protect still there. That was enough.
They walked through the gate. 40 people who had stayed to defend the settlement to receive them.
The night after, the frost giant gone!
The settlements behind the border could be rebuilt. The route. Aira's route was perfect. Every vent circle marked correctly. Every thin section called accurately.
The Mud Vault was ready. 3,000 years of pressure beneath that ice. When the giant's weight collapsed the crust, the eruption was immediate.
Were you afraid, running in front of it?
Yes. Fear is correct information. I used it. Being afraid and running away are different things.
Snast without us. Night's paths of the tundra.
Thyra went back at dawn. The scientist in her needed data.
Chamber temperature at depth, 192 degrees. Cooling from the surface, stable at depth. The chamber will...
The trail of the giant. 11 miles of footprints, each 8 feet long and 6 inches deep.
The footprints glowed very faintly blue. The cold residue of the giant's presence preserved in the tundra ice.
The border settlement. The day after. Normal. As if the past week had been a storm, intense and dangerous, and now past.
The first destroyed settlement. The giant's cold had preserved it in ice, which meant the structures were frozen but largely intact beneath the ice damage. The timber is intact beneath the ice. The ice damage cracked the outer wall and...
The debrief. Reviewing what had worked, what hadn't,
And what they would do differently next time.
There is always a next time. That is the Viking certainty.
The critical success factor was the approach damage accumulation. The vent contact incidents on the route to the Mud Vault weakened the giant's skin integrity.
After. The giant's trail visible for miles, a dark line of footprints crossing the white. The Mud Vault changed.
The plan required the giant to behave predictably.
Fire. A frost giant is attracted to warmth. That is still a bait run.
Yes, that is the design improvement. 3 days after the battle, Kael sent riders to 5 neighboring clans with a complete account of the frost giant encounter and the Mud Vault trap method. Not for fame, the knowledge. Written in rune script on pressed wood, the volcanic trap method, the bait run principle, the vent contact damage.
The Hrim fell at dusk, 3 days after the frost giant. The tundra quiet, the volcanic field recovering, the border clan rebuilding, the knowledge traveling.
2 weeks after, the ice on the destroyed settlements melting and being cleared, the structures beneath being...
He worked the reconstruction himself, as he always worked, directly, physically.
She taught from the scene itself. Not from descriptions. From the volcanic chamber. What do you read?
Heat at depth. The chamber is still at temperature below the surface crust.
Approximately 160 degrees at 3 feet depth.
Secondary chamber. Smaller but intact. If another frost giant comes from the north, the primary chamber approach is now open mud and difficult to lure on.
From above was a defensive system waiting to be understood. Dozens of volcanic vent...
I crossed this section in 11 seconds. At full sprint. The giant was 150 feet behind me. The safe section. 40 feet of intact ice over solid rock. The approach path that had held air...
A clear day on the Rimfell. Rare in winter. Usually the sky was cloud-heavy and gray.
We received your account of the frost giant. I came to see the evidence.
The footprint really deal.
Come.
Here. The giant went through the thin ice at this point on the approach, the first heat-cold contact. You can see the breach.
Yes, check contact weakened before the giant reached the main chamber.
Tyra believes the route thread. How long has this been here?
Thyra says 3,000 years. The volcanic pressure building since before the current Norse age.
The Mud Vault trap. 11 miles of tundra. 1 volcanic mud chamber.
Here is the geology and strategy behind it. Step 1. Geological foundation sits above a volcanic field, a network of thermal vents and boiling mud chambers.
Step 2. Cold versus heat physics. The frost giant generated extreme...
Step 3. The approach softening. The 11-mile route from the settlement to the Mud Vault was designed to pass through multiple vent contact sections.
Step 4. The bait run. A frost giant of the old Norse blood seeks...
People ask, how do you know the chamber temperature in advance? The answer is through geo-reading. I have been reading the Hrimfell's thermal field for 20 years.
The critical decision was to not use weapons. Iron cannot damage a frost giant of this size and age, O.C.
The bait run was not the dangerous part. The dangerous part was the last mile, approaching the Mud Vault with the giant at 150 feet.
The Mud Vault trap drew on real, documented knowledge of Norse volcanic geolofrost.
Kael Darkbrand, tall, powerfully muscular Viking man, approximately 36 years old, short, thick.
3 weeks after, the first destroyed settlement was reoccupied. The ice cleared, the walls repaired, and the fires relit.
The footprint trail, preserved through the rest of that winter and the following winter. The giant's coal embedded in the ice of...
The thermal map of the Hrimfell. 20 years of Thyra's field readings organized into a single document.
The thermal map of the Hrimfell. Every volcanic chamber classified by temperature, ice crust thickness, and approach accessibility.
4 copies of the thermal map, each one going to a clan that lived within reach of the Hrimfell volcanic field. Late winter on the Hrimfell. The days lengthening by minutes, imperceptible.
He checked the northern horizon every evening, as he always had, always would. Not from fear, but...
How Vikings trapped a frost giant using a boiling mud volcano. The same tundra, with the record of what crossed it, permanently in the ice.
The axe, carried 11 miles, used on one troll at the Steinvegger Pass in a different story. Not...
The obsidian staff. The volcanic stone reading the volcanic field. 20 years of Dale contact.
Spear, carried 11 miles on the bait run, used as a balance against the tundra wind. Not thrown, the spear was not the weapon.
Full trail. 274 footprints. 8 feet each. The cold blue footprint.
The secondary chamber, identified by Thyra after the event. Smaller than the main chamber, 7,000... The Hrimfell in clear light. All its character visible, the vent circles. The Hrimfell at night. The northern lights above the tundra that had been crossed by a frost giant 3 weeks before.
The settlement in the northern lights. Warm inside, cold outside. The gap between those two states.
Thermal map. Complete.
The morning patrol. Every morning. The walls, the north horizon, the vent temperature marker. The daily practice of attention to the landscape.
Left boot, press gently. Listen, that is thin ice above a vent. What does it mean?
Don't put weight on it.
Full weight or running weight?
Either.
The last journal entry of the season. The tundra is ready. 3 words.
Spring. The giant's footprints fading. The cold blue glow gone.
And she reached the rock, and she turned and watched it come. And the ground broke open.
The child who heard the story. Not because children are the only ones who listen, but because children carry...
The Mud Vault in spring. New ice forming at the chamber edges. The volcanic heat and the spring air. The Hrimfell in spring, the snow retreating to reveal the tundra's geological character, the dark...
The next generation of Hrimfell Earth Readers. Learning the thermal field.
Spring at the border settlement. The destroyed settlements rebuilt. The families returned. The young Hispanic female Earth Reader doing her daily readings.
He walked the footprint trail one last time before spring erased it.
She read the tundra every morning for the rest of her life. Not for threats after the giant.
3 people walking south.
After.
The tundra behind them, the settlement ahead. No giant on the horizon. The plan having worked as planned.
The Hrimfell. Cold above, hot below. The world exactly as it had always been.
How Vikings trapped a frost giant using a boiling mud volcano. The Hrimfell. Cold and hot, and patient, and ready.
The axe, not used here. The geological weapon made it irrelevant. Kael kept it sharp anyway. That is preparedness.
The obsidian staff. 20 years of tundra readings.
The spear, the last resort, not needed. The last resort that is never needed is the best possible result. The trail, fading with the spring. The record moving from ice to story.
The secondary chamber, still there, still at temperature. The backup trap that was not needed this time, available.
Dozens of chambers. Dozens of trap points.
The thermal map. 5 copies. 5 clans. The knowledge multiplied by sharing. A dawn on the Hrimfell. Cold and geological and enormous and defended.
Where it began, the giant on the horizon, moving south. What happened next year was what 3 people chose to do about it.
The cold blue footprint. The last trace of the giant on the Hrimfell. Beautiful.
20 years of practice. The knowledge that made the trap possible. The most important thing that happened in this story happened every morning.
She ran toward it. That was the first requirement.
From above, the geometry of the plan. The giant following the warmth leading it north-northwest. The team parallel.
Vent ring breakthrough. The first proof. Heat and cold react. The giant's skin cracks. The moment before. The ice at its limit. Then... cold and heat. The Norse world's oldest argument. Settled.
3 people watching the result of a plan built in 5 days and executed in 1. The tundra, quiet again. After. The evidence in the ice. The volcanic mud still moving. No giant. The correct result.
His eyes. The same eyes that read the landscape, planned the route, decided to use geology instead of...
Her eyes. Reading the tundra the way they had read it every day for 20 years. The eyes that knew the mud vault's temperature.
Her eyes, reading the ice surface at full sprint, feeling the hollow sound under her left boot that meant thin ice, finding the solid section, running it at speed.
The northern lights above the Hrimfell. The volcanic steam from the mud vault rising into the aurora.
5 halls. 5 copies of the thermal map. The knowledge of the Hrimfell's...
Spring on the Hrimfell. The volcanic field below the...
The Hrimfell from above. Cold and hot and inhabited and defended.
Cold above, hot below. Empty at the horizon. Everything as it should be.
3,000 years of volcanic pressure below the ice. One winter's planning above it. 3 the early warning system.
The secondary chamber, smaller than the primary, 7,000 gallons. The approach from the east along the rock shelf.
The first autumn after. The patrol continued. The thermal readings continued. The temperature markers were checked and replaced as needed.
The mud vault resealing. The autumn cold beginning to rebuild the ice crust at the chamber edges. In 50 years, the chamber will be mostly sealed.
The memorial post. 3 names. 1 giant. 1 giant. 1 outcome. Extinguished.
Cold above, hot below, defended by 3 indigenous people who...
Cold and volcanic and vast and defended, 3,000